Alright, so today, right now, I'm going to be talking about notching. Okay? Notching, tube, pipe, round stock, whatever you want. And a lot of people that are into, off-road or literally anything that requires round metal pieces, a lot of them do not have the typical notching tools, like myself included. So, what I do, I guess what everyone does, is very simple. Use your Ohos, eyes, and a Sharpie. And maybe like some sort of straight edge, like a ruler or something. What you do, this is, let's say, I don't know, think of whatever you want. Then you got your tubing and or pipe or round stock. What you do is you set it to where you want it. So let's say right here. And then you get a spacer of some sort. So a ruler or, I don't know, a random piece of metal, and you set it on the whatever, and then you would mark the flat edge. In this case it is flat. So just like that, you would go all the way around the tube. Or you could also use your eyesight, which you put it up kind of how you want it. You get down to eyesight level, and then you just sketch a line, just like that. And this is by no means going to come out 100% perfect the first time. After that, you obviously cut it, and then you fit it up there. And take an angle grinder with a flat wheel, usually like a 40 grit or a 60, and you would just make the tiniest fine adjustments so it can fit perfectly. Because the better fitment you got, one, the stronger it's going to be, and two, the better end product, like the weld, is going to look better. And so if you do have notching tools, which I already covered this, I do not currently, there's you use a hole saw and a drill and a special vise for it. So straight here. This is a hole saw bit. This is not your typical tubing hole saw bit. Tubing hole saw bit, I'm pretty sure it's a lot longer. And I don't think it has this hole in the middle for your pilot bit. But anyway, get a specifically made, I should say, vise type thing that holds the tubing or your pipe, and it holds a guide for the bit to go through. And it's pretty self-explanatory. You put the pipe in, adjust the guide for whatever angle or you want to do it, and then you drill it straight up. And there's also these things called contour gauges. I'm looking at. This is my notes right here. Because, I don't remember shit no more. There's these things called contour gauges. They're made by, I'm sure there are many companies that make them, but the ones that I found are made by Pipe Master. And the only reason why I don't have them, because the set is like $250 or something like that for all the different sizes. And I think they have a pipe set and a tubing set. Why two different sets? You'll find out real quick. So what they are, here's my very crudely made contour gauge. So what I just did is, this is basically the concept of what a contour gauge is. It's just a whole bunch of, let's say, like needle things around the tube that clamp onto it. So if you're gonna like get you a homemade version of that, don't use tape. Right? Use a rubber band or a hair tie or something. And you don't have to use pencils. I would recommend using something smaller like uncooked spaghetti or like TIG electrodes, the tungstens. So another section of this is what's the difference between like pipe and tube and round stock. So piping and tubing are very similar. They're both hollow tubes or round. Piping is measured in, the main difference between tubing and piping is the way they're measured. So, here, let's get my thing right here. Pipe is measured in ID. This is the ID, inside. ID stands for inside diameter. And this piece, if it were to be a pipe, would be, 1 inch and 7/16. But this is tubing, and they don't make that size in pipe. I don't think. I'm just speaking out of my ass right here. Tubing, which is what this is measured in OD, which stands for outside diameter, which is self-explanatory, the outside to the outside. This is 1 5/8 tubing right here. And so there are two common types of tubing. There is DOM, which stands for drawn over mandrel, which is basically, it comes out of the furnace and is formed into a tube. And the second type is seam, which is what this is. It comes out of the furnace into a piece of flat plate, and this seam right here is where it is robotically welded. So DOM is much stronger than seamed. And back over here. Another difference of pipe and tubing is the way the thickness is measured. So for pipe, the thickness is measured in schedules. What I mean by that is, so for like people that work on a pipeline, they have massive like 36-inch pipe, which is 3 feet, in case you can get that. And the schedule is like 40 or 60 or 80. What exactly that comes out to in inches or whatever, I do not know. But 60 would be thicker, and then 80 even thicker. And thickness in tubing, which is what this is measured in millimeters, or a decimal fraction. So like this, tape measure. This does not have millimeters on it, or this does not have millimeters on it, or decimal fractions. But this is about 3/16 of an inch, this tubing right here. So in millimeters, I do not know what that would be. And another thing for tubing and pipe, pipe is always round, like this. tubing, you can have square tubing, you can have a rectangular tubing, which is what this is. This is also seamed. I do not believe square tubing that comes in DOM. I could be wrong about that. You can have hexagonal tubing. List goes on. You always hear people say like you have to build roll cages and anything structural out of tubing. That is because it is way stronger than piping. Why? I don't know, to be honest. But if you were building a roll cage, you would want to use DOM instead of this seamed tubing. And finally, round stock. Round stock is like your rebar, your bolts are basically round stock with threads cut into them. Let me go find you some round stock. Alright, so here we go. So basically this is round stock, sorta. I mean, it's a bolt, but yeah. What I mean by that, it is a solid piece of metal. It's not hollow, it is just a round strip, And I guess this pins. Pins are made of round stock, but this one's bent, obviously. So, yeah. That's it. That's the gist of it. I could talk for like hours about this stuff. Because this is what I go to school for and all that fancy stuff. So, yeah. This video probably sucks because of the wind noise in my shop. The wind is like 50-mile-an-hour wind today. Typical Kansas thing. But I hope you learned about tubing and pipe, all that good stuff. And I will leave a link to the Pipe Master contour gauges. So yeah, good talk, me and you.